Welcome to this English class. And my name is Shweta, and I am your teacher for today. Alright, so I do understand that lessons are at times too tedious and a little boring. So I have, started, I want to start the class with a small poem to keep your interest intact. So the name of the poem is The Shed. We will discuss about this today. Before I move on with the poem, I would just like to inform you about the instructions as you can see on your screen. There are three icons that have been highlighted on the screen. The first says Q&A. So it's basically a question and answer icon. Whenever you have a question or when you want me to stop, please use that icon. Please type in your questions. I will address all of them probably towards the end of the class. And if I feel the questions are really important and I will not be able to move forward without addressing them, I will solve the questions in between the lessons. Okay, so the next icon says raise your hand. So when you want me to stop, if you feel that I'm going really fast or you've not understood something, please use that icon. I will stop then and there. If you want me to repeat something, please use this icon. I may also ask you to use this icon if I feel whether you have understood what I have taught. So use this icon. The last icon, in blue says leave webinar. So when we will be done with all the explanation and the question answer round and I'm satisfied that all of you have understood everything, I will ask you to click on the last icon. This will help you to take an exit from the session. So this is what, I wanted to inform you about the instructions. Please follow them, very easy to go. Okay, so like I said, the name of the poem is The Shed. The weightage of this poem is approximately 7 marks. May come to 12 out of 30 English lessons. And yeah, so before I move on, this slide shows you what we are going to do today, how we are going to move, you know, in the class. So first, of course, I'll discuss the introduction. I will tell you what the meaning of the title is, what it portrays. Then I will tell you about the summary, what the whole poem is all about, what is trying to imply, what are its content. Then we will, shorten everything, discuss the important key points as you can see on the screen. Lastly, I will, share some examples of question and answers. So this question answers, will help you to brush up your knowledge, what you have understood today. That's one. Secondly, you will get an idea what kinds of questions can come in the exam. And you should answer those questions to gain more marks. Okay, so let's start with the poem. Okay. The poem is written by Frank Finn. It says The Shed. So, do you know what a shed is? I'm sure if you have visited a village sometime or, even once in your life, you must know what it is. Or probably even here, people keep a kind of a portion of their house, intact for some purposes. So maybe to keep their pets, or maybe, just to keep household stuffs, So it's basically an extra compartment or maybe an area of a house, which is actually an outward area of your house. So, the shed can be different type. For example, a cow shed, a tool shed, like where you keep your tools or extra stuffs that you don't, feel that might be required in your day-to-day life. A wood shed, etc. Okay, I'm sure you've seen cow sheds here, where they keep actually cow for, probably milking and other stuffs. So the place where they reside or live is known as a shed. So this is what basically a shed means. Now it is like you see on the screen, it's a small room, okay? It's away from the main house as in where you actually live. And what it is used for? It is used for storing or keeping things first. Second, animals. People can also keep tools, instruments, and also vehicles. Vehicles, for example, bicycles, cycles, at times cars even, or maybe some games, etc. So this is what a shed is used for. So I have just used a picture. If you see, towards the left hand side, towards the corner, there is a small picture probably of a hut. So it kind of gives you an image what a shed actually looks like. I'm sure you can see this picture on your screen as well. Not screen only, and your textbook as well. So this is what a shed actually looks like. Okay, moving on with the poem. Here, the poet is kind of explaining. Now, before I move on with the poem, as you read, you will understand this is not the poem, I mean, the poet who is actually explaining everything, okay? You'll understand that it's basically probably the poet is explaining things with the eyes of a little boy, aged around 10 to 12 years. So do not have this misconception that it's the poet who is citing everything. No, it is not. The poet is not saying anything. The poet is explaining the whole poem through the eyes of a small kid, must be aged around 10 to 12 years. Okay, so let's start with the poem. Now, the poet explains there is a shed at the bottom of a garden with a spider's web hanging across the door. I'm sure you have seen, spider web, probably in your house or maybe in gardens, etc. So when cleaning is not done and you don't keep your house very clean, you will see spiders making their home. So they kind of create a web, probably in the rooftops or in the corners of your house. So this is what the poet is explaining. Let me just read the poem as in this stanza and then I'll explain you the meaning. The hinges are rusty and creak in the wind. When I'm in bed, I lie and listen. I'll open the door one day. So the meaning of hinges is a movable joint of a door. It acts like a connecting object that helps a door to move. So when you open a door, you will see, there is this joint. So that joint actually helps to connect a door. When you open it, it kind of makes a noise. So you'll see there is this joint that keeps or helps the door to open and close. So those area or that portion that actually kinds of joins the door is known as hinges. The meaning of creak is high pitched sound when your pressure is applied. So the poet is kind of explaining that when you put a pressure on something, it is making a kind of a very sharp, shrilling noise. Now I'll explain you the meaning of these lines. The poet, through the eyes of probably a kid, a boy, is explaining that there is a shed um, at the bottom of the garden. Okay, there is a small shed in the garden. Now the shed actually has a lot of spider web. It is hanging across the door. So when you go there, you will see it's a kind of a dirty, not that well managed shed. That is why you see those webs hanging across the door. Then the poet is explaining that the hinges are rusty and creak in the wind. So when you don't visit a place or when you don't actually open a door for a long period of time, and when you open it all of a sudden after a really long period, when you try to open the door, it kinds of make a noise. So the noise actually explains or shows that it is really old. So this is what the poet is explaining, that you can hear that the joint of the door is kind of rusty. When a thing is very old, it actually kind of tries to, not tries, it actually decays with time. It forms rust on its body. So this shed is probably very old, is a little dirty, not well managed, not clean. That is why rust has been formed on the body of the door. And when you try to open the door, there is this noise, a very shrill, sharp noise that you can hear um, when you try to open the door. So the joints of the door, when you try to open it, the joints of the door are kind of making a very high pitched noise. Now, as all of this is happening, the poet is actually lazing around and lying on his bed and listening to all of this. Okay, so he is having his gala time, lying on the bed, probably lazing around and relaxing and listening to what is happening in the garden. And then he just thinks that okay, one day he will open that door. So see, uh, when you don't visit a place for some time or for a really long time, or maybe when you're not allowed to do that, you have that urge in you to do it more. So here the poet is kind of showing or letting us know that one day he will make sure that he will open that door. So he has that feeling, that cringe in him that okay, one day I will make sure that I go there and open the door. Okay, I hope it's not that boring, students. Let's move on to the next lines. Now you will see that the poet is kind of explaining what the outlook of the whole shed is. Okay, he's explaining that there is a dusty old window around the side with three cracked panes of glass. So the poet is explaining how the shed looks like, how the things are there, what are the um, what are the things that have been damaged in the shed. So he starts with this old dusty window. He says that there is a dusty window full of dust, as in the window is full of dust. It has three cracked panes of glass. You can see an image, right, on the downward side. So that's an image of a cracked pane of glass. What does a pane mean? It's a single sheet of glass. So it's probably a window. And if you see this sheet, so there is one particular portion where you can see cracks in the window. So this is what the poet is trying to explain, that when you go to the shed, you will see this glass pane. It has three cracks on its pane, exactly the way it is on the screen. I hope you can see the picture. So this is what he is explaining. There are three cracks on the panes of the glass window. Okay, exactly like the way you can see on the screen. Then he says, I often think there's someone staring at me each time that I pass. I'll peep through that window one day. So the poet is kind of explaining that whenever he passes by the window, because of probably, there's this cracked, lines on the glass, he feels that there is somebody staring at him through those cracks, or probably through the window. So he does not have the required courage to actually go and check whether there is someone. But he assures that someday he will peep. What does peep means? Peep means to look into. Okay, so he is now a little. I would say he has a certain amount of fear in himself. What he says is, when he goes by or passes by the window, he feels that somebody is there who is looking at him, who is staring, glancing at him. Now that he do not have much courage, he feels that someday he will muster up all the courage and he will look through that window one day. He assures and kind of promises one day he will make it happen. He will peep through the window one day. Okay, let's move on to the next slide. Um, Here the poet who is citing everything, through the eyes of probably a boy. He says that, his brother, actually now he brings his brother into the picture. So the poet says, my brother says there is a ghost in the shed who hides under the rotten floorboards. And if I ever dare to set foot inside, he'll jump out and chop off my head. I'll take a peek one day, for sure. Rotten means decayed, something that has been damaged. There is to muster up courage that, one day I will find all the courage and I'll do something. So, here, as you can understand, the poet is actually kind of uh, bringing his brother into the picture. Now, as we move on with the poem, you'll understand that this brother is actually, has a den in this shed. Okay, so he kind of goes there and has or spend his fruitful time. So it's his place. So he doesn't like people or he doesn't want people to go there. So he kind of tries to influence the poet. He says, he kind of warns him that, okay, there is a ghost in the shed. Okay, the ghost actually hides, kind of stays under the rotten floorboards. Floorboards means the floor that is made of woods. Okay, woods. So as you can see a picture on the screen, there is this picture of a floorboard. So this is how a floorboard looks like. Now here the poet has mentioned about rotten floorboards. So here there is a picture of rotten floorboards. You can see, there are gaps in between and it's all a little broken with dirt. So this is how a rotten floorboard looks like. So underneath, this ghost actually hides. So this is what the brother is trying to say, that the ghost actually, hides under these rotten floorboards. And if someday the poet muster up the courage and just, visit that shade, the ghost will all of a sudden come alive and jump out and chop off his head. Okay, so this brother is kind of, taking a lot of advantage and warning the person. He says if he kind of tries to visit the shed, the ghost will somehow appear and jump out of the floorboard and chop, as in cut off the poet's head. Okay, but after all of this, the poet actually gets a little carried away, but he still feels that, the brother is kind of making up stories. So he feels, come what may, I will still go there and look one day. So he is very determined that someday he will go there, come what may. Okay, okay. So now the poet is explaining, I know that there isn't really a ghost. My brother tells lies to keep the shed for his dead. So, like I informed earlier, that this shed is basically a den, a place for his brother. He doesn't want, people to just come there or disturb his privacy. So he kinds of make up stories to just keep the poet away from the shed. So the poet is kind of explaining, I know that, there's nothing called ghost, in the real world. There's nothing like ghost, and I know that the brother is actually making up stories because he wants to keep the shed for his dead. He doesn't want people to come and visit the shed. He doesn't want people to disturb his privacy. So the poet somehow knows that he's making up stories because the poet somewhere knows that there is nothing called a ghost. There's nothing really like a ghost that exists in the world. So it's all imagination. Then the poet says, there isn't anyone staring or making strange noises. And the spider has been gone from his web since I don't know when. So the poet is kind of trying to calm himself. Um, Yeah, so the poet is kind of trying to calm himself. He's saying that he's very sure that nobody is staring or making any noise, and he somewhere knows that the spider has been gone way long back. So he doesn't even know when the spider must have disappeared. So he knows he's kind of relaxing himself, cooling himself down, that there is nothing like that in real scenario. Please give me a minute. Okay, so like I said, the poet is kind of explaining and telling that, I know that there is no one staring, no one is making strange noises, and even the spiders have left their home, and I don't know when they disappeared. But he says, I'll go into that shed one day soon, but not just yet. So, what is the poet trying to say? Uh, he's still determined that someday he's going to go into that shed. But when, he doesn't know because he is not prepared yet. It is too soon for him to commit and, actually say or muster or gather up all the courage that, he does not have the required courage to actually just go immediately into the shed. But someday he's very sure that someday that day will for sure come that he will visit the shed and remove all his uh, fear that he has in his head. Okay, so this is what the poem is all about, a very simple short poem where this poet is actually kind of trying to let us know about the imagination that he has about a shed. So let's quickly discuss about some key points of the same. Okay, so this particular slide will actually help you recall all that we have learned today. Firstly, as you know, the first point says that a location has been chosen, and a location is a shed which is exactly at the bottom of the garden. So you all, I know, must have understood by now that the whole poem revolves around the shed. The whole poem, the story that the poem is trying to say, to portray, is all about the shed that is there in the garden, where the poet can see that there is a spider's web, which is hanging across the door. The shed is that old, it is so dirty that it's not well maintained, not cleaned, that the poet can see a spider's web across the door. And then he says that when the wind actually blows, there is a sharp, shrilling noise of the rusty hinges that attracts the poet's attention. So the poet actually, like he said, and I'm sure you must remember that the poet was lying on his bed, when he actually explains all of this in the poem. He was relaxing in a very relaxed mood, lying on the bed. He hears the noise of the hinges. You know what the hinges are? It's a joint that any door or every door has. There is this joint on every door. It helps the door to, close and open. So as the wind blows, this the hinges that are there on the door kind of makes a very short noise that the poet can hear. Like I said, the poet is relaxing and in a very lazy mood. He is on the bed and plans to satisfy his curiosity to see what is hidden inside the shed. Obviously, when my parents or anybody restrict me to go somewhere, I have this urge in me that why are they restricting me? I also want to know what is there. So the very same way, this poet is determined. He needs to satiate, to satisfy his curiosity, to see what is there in the shed. I want to see because he is afraid that he feels that somebody is staring at him, or somebody is looking at him through the glass panel. He says that as he passes by, through the by the shed, he actually feels that somebody is staring at him. But is it actually so? No, it's all in his head, all in his imagination. Uh, but in spite of all this, he feels that okay, sometimes somebody is there. The other, instance, he feels no, it's just his imagination. But according to him, the shed is kind of a den, a private place for his brother. So his brother kind of convinces him that no, there must be a ghost that lives actually in the shed under the rotten floorboard. As if one someday, kind of tries to actually go into the shed, the ghost may just jump off and chop off the person's head. So this is kind of really scary. Already the poet is scared, and on top of that, the brother is kind of very successful in influencing him. So he becomes even more scared. The poet is partially frightened. He somewhere knows that there is nothing called ghost, but at the same time, the other half of his mind is kind of fighting that what if something is there. So he is partially frightened, scared, but he does not completely believe what his brother is saying. So he says that someday, I don't know when, but he doesn't know when, but he will have that courage, the required courage, to actually visit the shed or probably to look through the window one day. And when the one day will come, he is not sure of at present. But he is sure of one thing that one day he will muster up, gather all the courage required so that he can actually go and visit the shed. Okay, so this is what the poem actually explains. A very short, simple poem. Okay, I just hope I did not doze all of you off to sleep. Okay, so like I said, when I'll be done with all the explanation, I will be discussing certain question and answers. So now again, this question and answers will help you to kind of get an idea what kind of question can come up in or during exams and how you're supposed to answer them. This will also help you to once again, you know, gather or recall what you have learned today. So let's start with the first question. The first question says, what is the central idea of the poem The Shed? The answer to the question is, the central idea of the poem The Shed is rationality and fearlessness. Um, Hardly people, at a very young age will know that most of the people actually, kind of create stories for their personal profit, for their personal gain. So one should be rational. Rational, what does that mean? One should actually think logically that, okay, can something like this really happen or exist? So this whole story is based on this idea that a person, come what may, should actually think very rational, should have a logical explanation for everything, logical outlook towards life, and should have a sense of fearlessness within. The poem teaches us that we should not believe in baseless and imaginative stories about ghosts and other supernatural creatures, as these stories are mostly used by people for their benefit. For example, I stay here and I want to land, and I can see people are really foolish, and they may believe in any story that I may create. So I want that land. So what if I, kind of influence people that, oh my God, don't take that hope. There are super natural creatures living in there, or there are bad energies. Why am I doing that? Like, do they actually exist? No. I'm doing that for my personal gain, right? Why? Because I want that house. So this poem actually tells you. So here in this story, the poem, if you recall, there was no ghost in the shed. But in spite of that, the brother kinds of tell the poet that there is a ghost that lives actually underneath the floor bed. So if you try and go there, the ghost may actually come off and chop your head. Now, why is he telling that? Why is he influencing? Because that it's his den. He doesn't want people to disturb his privacy. So he is doing for his personal gain, right? He has a own benefit, a own motive, right? So this is why people create stories, and this is the whole idea of the poem, that one should actually have logical reasoning and kind of fearlessness within to understand, to differentiate between what is good, what is bad, why people are saying certain things, etc. Okay, let's move on to the next question. What does it say? Who is the poet of the poem The Shed? The poem The Shed is composed by, like I informed you earlier, by Frank Flynn. In this poem, the poet tells about the shed at the bottom of his garden. So, like I said, the whole poem revolves around the shed, which is in the garden, which is very unkempt, as in not properly maintained. It's dirty. The panels, as in the glass windows, are broken, has three cracks. The doors are rusty. There are spider webs. So whenever the poet passes from there, he feels that actually somebody is staring at him through the glass panel. So this is what the answer is about for the second question. Very simple. Okay, I hope that all of you are able to recall what studying and what we have studied, few minutes ago. Please make sure that you revise all the questions, because then you'll not have to learn the whole poem separately. Okay, who is the speaker of the poem? Like I said, or told you earlier, that you must not think that actually the poem is actually the poet is the speaker of the poem. No, The speaker is a voice or persona of a poem, right? But here, one should not think or assume that the poet is a speaker, because the poet may be writing from a perspective entirely different from his own, even with the voice of another gender. So there, the person can be a boy, etc. So here, actually, it's not necessary that the speaker of the poem is poet, because at the poet's age, it's a little um, difficult to imagine that he would actually believe in supernatural energies and ghosts. So it kind of gives us a hint that okay, he may be writing, the poet from somebody else's perspective, from somebody else's view. So it can also kind of vary with another gender. So you never know who the speaker is. But as far as the poem is concerned, it does not seem that the poet is a speaker, but he is probably, writing the poem through the eyes of a small kid, or probably a boy aged nearly 10 to 12 years. Yeah, okay, moving on to the next question. Why were the hinges of the door rusty? I hope you remember the meaning of the hinge. So hinges are the joints, like I said, the joints of any door. When you try to open a door, you will see there are joints, like probably three, four joints in a door. So the joint actually helps to open and close the door. So the poem is asking, why were the hinges dirty and rusty? Um, the answer to which is, nobody actually used to visit the shed, okay? Since the doors were not opened for a very long period, its hinges had become rusty. So you will find it you must be very familiar with this, that if you visit a place, probably a home, after a really long time, you will see spider webs and the doors really not that clean. So if you don't clean your doors, rust will form. So this is how the cycle of nature works. So this is what the poet is trying to explain, that the door must not have been opened for a good amount of time, which has actually made the hinges of the door, the joints of the door become a little rusty and also a little noisy. So when you try to open it, it will make a sharp, shrilling noise. Okay, moving on to the next question. What does the broken glass window suggest? I hope you remember that I had showed you an image of a glass panel. It had kind of three, four cracks on it. So this is what the poet is asking. What makes you think? What does it show or portray? What does a broken glass show or portray you? The broken glass panes of the dusty window suggested lack of maintenance. Obviously, if you maintain a home, you will not see things or stuff getting damaged that easily. Now that the windows had cracks in them, they were not even repaired. So this kind of shows that it was not well maintained. Nobody was cleaning it and keeping it properly. So there was hardly anybody who would actually go inside the shed. So the cleaning was actually not possible at all. If you do not visit only a place, then how the question of cleaning it does not even arise, right? So this is what the broken glass is suggesting, that it was not well maintained, that nobody actually bothered to go there. So there was no possibility, probably zero possibility of actually cleaning the glass window pane or kind of repairing it. Okay. All right. The second last question is the speaker afraid or curious or both? So what do you think? The speaker, is the speaker afraid or curious or both? I feel it's both. Why? Because a lot of instances actually show that in one moment the speaker was afraid, oh, like he should not go. But the second moment you'll realize he was determined that he will one day visit the shed, come what may. Though he is not sure when the day will come, but one day he will. So the answer to the question is, whenever he passes by the window of the shed, he feels that there's somebody staring at him. Now, this suggests that he's afraid to go. Of course, like if I feel that somebody is staring at me, why will I go there? I'll have that sense of fear within me, right? So this is one thing that suggests that he's afraid. Very clear. Again, after that, he describes each part of the shed with strange sounds and other descriptions, and he says that one day he would go inside the shed, right? So this kind of shows that he's also curious at the same time. Then again, you'll come to know that his brother kind of um, tried to influence him that you should not go there because there is a ghost. And he's frightened in one moment, and the other moment is determined, okay, but I will go there someday. Let me just have a look. Are there any ghosts, I mean, in real life? So this is what actually, helps us to know that the speaker is actually both afraid as well as curious. So this shows his curiosity as well. He wants to know the whereabouts of the shed. What is going inside it? Actually, is there anybody living there? Because his brother had told him that, there might be a ghost inside. So this is why he was a little afraid, I'm sorry, but he was more curious because he wanted to know whether there was any reality to it. Okay, moving on to the last question for the day, but not just yet to just doubt, fear, hesitation, laziness, or something else. Choose a word which seems right to tell you, sorry, right to you. Tell others why you chose it. Okay, but not yet. So you just need to choose a word from this line that actually is related to this line, but not just yet. So just the speaker's hesitation. Of course, I don't see that it's related to any kind of doubt or fear or something else. But he is hesitant, okay? Because he is afraid. You all know. He is curious. We know, but what is making him hesitant, we'll come to know now. He is confident that there is no ghost in the shed because he is a little intelligent or far more smart to understand that there is nothing called ghost, okay? And the story of ghost that his brother is making up is actually all lies. So he somewhere knows it's all made up stories, so there is no truth to it. But there is some fear inside him as well because he cannot muster, as in gather enough courage to actually step into the shed. Though he listens to the noise coming from the shed every night and has passed by the shed a lot of times, he hears noise every day. You know, the noise of the cringes. Whenever he passes by the shed, he feels that there is somebody staring at him through the glass panel. But his curiosity, his eagerness is mixed with a certain amount of fear, and therefore he is actually a little hesitant to go inside the shed yet. He knows that there is no ghost, but at the same time, you know, he cannot just undo the sound that he actually hear every night. So he questions himself, what about the noise that I hear every night? What about the thing that I feel whenever I pass, by the glass window, when I feel that somebody is staring at me? So he, he is actually feeling both. He has a sense of fear as well as, you know, he is very curious to go. but he is hesitant because now he don't want to go. Now he does not have the required courage to somehow step into the shed. But he also knows that someday he will master, he will have the required courage, that he will be able to go into the shed, step into the shed, and satiate, his curiosity. And he will, I'm sure, someday make it, um, you know, to the shed for sure. He will muster, gather all the courage, and kind of um, satisfy his curiosity by just actually knowing whether there is anything to like that what the poet or the speaker's brother is saying. Is there any ghost, or is there anything that actually bothers him, you know like in his imagination? So someday he will be able to step into the shed, but when the day will come, as of now, he is not sure. So when he'll attain that required courage, he will definitely go and step into the shed and satisfy his curiosity, and it will answer all his doubts and queries. But when the day will come, he is not sure about that as of now. But it will come, he knows about that. Okay, so this is all about today's class. I hope that I was able to make, myself clear. Thank you so much for attending the class. Um, I hope the poem was clear to you. Um, I would request you to join in for your next session. Please take help of the exit webinar icon that will help you to take an exit from the session. Thank you so much again for attending the class and have a great evening.